Hello, everyone. Will here again, coordinator at AMN. Not going to talk about myself. You guys have heard me talking plenty today, but I am going to introduce my friend Nicole Chalifour. She is a community artist in Calgary who has been doing work at quite a few agencies in the city. She's done a mural at the University of Calgary, Faculty of Social Work. She's worked at the Foothills Hospital doing a mural there in the Children's Psych Ward, I believe. And she has done numerous murals as well for Hull Services, which is an agency that works with children and high-risk youth in the community and in residential programs. So definitely want to introduce Nicole here, and she's going to be presenting with me on the Masculinity Menbox project. So.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole. It's nice to meet you guys and to be here. I feel pretty honored to be able to speak about this project and even to have been part of this project in the first place. I know Will from university. We were part of the same cohort from U of C, so we both graduated from social work a couple years ago now. And I actually had experience going to school for visual arts before that and feel very fortunate to have gotten almost more art opportunities being in social work than before. So it feels amazing that people are open to exploring art in the field and ways that we can use it, and this being one of them.
Yeah, so I hope everybody can see my slide here. Give me a thumbs up, Nicole, if you can see it on screen, so I know.
Got
Amazing. Beauty. So the Masculinity Menbox project is a project that we came up with about a year ago. It was an idea to how can we engage with the community in using something different, a unique approach, and that approach was art. And then throughout our conversations, discussions, one of our practicum students, Morel Unal, I'm not sure if she's in attendance today or not, but she came up with this idea of the Manbox project, which is based out of Paul Kavere, I believe, who kind of coined it in the early 1980s to kind of describe the way that hegemonic masculinity, that men tend to create these really rigid walls and barriers and boxes around, you know, how society needs to view them as a man and how they really feel as being a man. So we want to incorporate that by kind of taking it directly and asking men to create their own man box, which Nicole will be speaking of a bit more. But what we were really looking at is how internalized perceptions and beliefs about masculinity affect men's lives, and how can men break out of their man boxes. And the questions that we asked, and we continue to ask participants, this is an ongoing project, just like all the projects we've been presenting on today, are these three questions, which I see here weren't ABC and all listed as A, but we asked them, what are some of the perceptions, beliefs, and aspects of your masculinity that you do not share openly with others? If you can please put those questions, please do those, complete that art component on the outside of the box. And then for the inside, what are some of the perceptions, beliefs, and aspects of your masculinity that you feel comfortably sharing in society? Please put those on the inside of your box. And then lastly, if you find that your perceptions, beliefs, and or aspects of your masculinity are fluid, or there is little difference between what you share and do not share, please put those perceptions, beliefs, and or aspects that are most important to you on the inside of the box to kind of provide a bit of a direction, but we want to be as hands-off as possible for the participants. Nicole, I'll give it away to you.
Yeah, so Will approached me with this idea of the man box and wanting to find a way that we could create a project to invite the men and the participants of this project to explore their beliefs about their own masculinity, the parts that they are maybe more unwilling or feel unable to share. So perhaps hide more and find a way to express that on the inside of the structure of the boxes we made. And then, as Will said, the parts that feel more celebrated or that you're more willing to share with others can go on the outside of the box. So I find with community art, you have such amazing ideas and you can start so huge. And this was one of my biggest, I guess, building projects, kind of starting from scratch in that sense. So we knew that creating some kind of vessel to have men be able to explore their beliefs and thoughts through art was our main priority. And then it became a discussion of, okay, how do we execute this? So we went through quite a few different ideas and realized that it was getting a little bit too big for us to really be able to execute it properly. So we're thinking about, okay, what can we make out of these boxes? And thinking more about the structure of what can we build with all of these boxes separately. So I think a big challenge that we found was trying to hone it in on the individual box and what the most important part of this project was. And it was making art approachable and making self-expression in a different sense approachable for others. So we kind of rewound it down to, okay, we need individual boxes. We need to make this approachable to men. So making them big enough that there's room to explore, but small enough that we can transport it to the men's homes. Making that more approachable was a big priority of ours. And then I found that perhaps just having a white blank box might be almost too intimidating for I think men a lot of times aren't really celebrated to explore art. I think adults in general also aren't as invited to explore things through art, to get a little bit messy and creative. So we put 2 different colors on the outside of the boxes. You can see them here in this photo. So some of them are orange and yellows and some of them are blues, to hopefully be able to kind of have at least one of the boxes kind of speak to the men in a sense of, that's the one that I want to decorate, and try to get the ball rolling a bit creativity wise without giving too much direction of what needs to be done with the box, starting that progress or process. Another hurdle that we kind of realized was we don't want the participants and the men to be confined by the art supplies they may or may not have at home. I know I have so much art supplies at my house, but that's because it's me and I can never get enough. But that I would hate for men to not be able to really explore and really dive into this and maybe try some new things and ways of exploring. So we realized that pretty last minute, hey, we should make some art kits. So we had a lot of fun putting together these art kits with just kind of touching on a few different ways that men could express themselves. We included some magazines as well, just to kind of get the ball rolling on what it could look like. And now it's all coming together. So we've had a few participants that have already made the boxes, and it's really been wonderful to hear that it's been going really well.
Yeah, so that was really our process. I mean, what we just showed you was almost 6 months of banging our heads against the wall to try and figure out how to put it together. But this is one of our boxes. I'm just going to go through the slides a little bit and show some of the boxes that some of the participants already finished up. This box was actually done by Sebastian, as many of you met earlier. And maybe he'll be able to, if Sebastian, I don't know if you want to speak to your box at all or anything like that, but feel free to jump in if you want to add anything. But as you can see, it's a very unique approach. Participants were allowed to do really anything and everything, as long as it wasn't hyper inappropriate, of course, and keeping it, good, PG rated, right? This was another box that was done. This was done by Arya, who did the tribute to Vic earlier today. This was my box, actually. I decided to participate just because, at AMN, we really believe it's important that everybody is involved, including the researchers, the staff members, the volunteers, that everybody kind of engages. So I decided to make my own box. I can definitely speak to it a little bit. I kind of took the approach of, I looked at every single side of the box as a different aspect of what's important to me and my masculinity. And, for example, a bit of the dichotomy between this, very structured side where everything is nice and neat versus the wave on the other side being very correspondent to, I'm always working, I'm always being methodical about everything I do, but at the same time, I love to have fun and be as easy as going as possible in other aspects of my life. Whereas at the top of the box, the black and white approach I tend to take to my life. And these are all things that I'm quite vocal about and honest with people about who I am, with this kind of star aspect showing just the fact that I'm an emotional basket case at all times. And, that's who I am, but it's also showcased on the inside. And on the inside here, just, having different dimensions. And for me, a lot of things that I don't tend to talk about who I am as a person is represented through nature. For me, the night sky and stuff is very peaceful and makes me feel very grounded, but it's not something I go around talking about how peaceful and grounded the night sky makes me feel, and like how I believe that's really important to being a man. I struggle kind of vocalizing those things, right? And acknowledging with this red one here, the demons and skeletons in the closet or whatever issues I face in my life. So these are all kind of aspects of my masculinity, and other participants took a different approach to that. And then finally, this was another box that was also done by another one of the participants. As you can see, it's very unique and very different. Everybody really took their own approach to these boxes, and no one, as we can see from all these slides, nobody had any universal way of doing it. Everybody had very different ideas and concepts. Nicole, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think that part of this project that we really wanted to make the main focus was, as much as we wanted this project to be really impactful, we also wanted to really make sure it was approachable and not really confine people to what they could explore with the art in the box as well. So it has been really amazing to see everyone's different ways of expressing themselves, and even hearing from Will kind of how the experience was for him, and for Sebastian being able to explore some things without needing to verbalize it in a lot of ways too, and being able to kind of focus maybe more on color sometimes when you don't know how to express something, or not getting too upset over maybe it not looking exactly the way that you want it to, because there's really no right way for it to look, and instead be able to really dive into that maybe more reflective art making process. So I've been so happy hearing that people have been able to kind of dive in more and explore some different ways of, okay, but how would I be able to express that through art? And sometimes I find the tool of or the act of creating is almost meditative and can kind of help push you into maybe a more reflective headspace. So yeah, it's been really incredible to see where it's come so far.
And then going kind of back, the last thing we want to quickly touch upon, I'm going to go back to this first slide here, if it will load. So the first cohort that we did was very research focused. So these were actually the research questions that we asked ourselves. And we took this approach because we really want to, at AMN, we really believe that in what's the word I'm looking for here? Evidence-based research, right? So, and having men be the voices and experts themselves, right? And we wanted to take this project and first gain some insight into it. So we actually led a focus group with some of the participants. We're leading another one here as this project is still underway, but part of this whole project is once we do the Manbox, we come together and we have a discussion around it. And, we sit down and either it's a focus group or a community dialogue, depending on if it has a research aspect to it or not. But really allowing men to kind of come in solidarity around what they did, and what, if there's differences or similarities through some of the boxes in the artwork and the thought processes that was around it. And we also asked participants to, create a journal the entire way along, right? So in my phone, I did this giant thing of every kind of step. I would sit down and think about where this was coming from, right? And it allowed me to learn a lot about myself that I had no idea about. So that does come to the end of our sharing. And opens up for questions that anybody may have. Or Sebastian, I'm not sure if you wanted to kind of contribute since I showed a bunch of your stuff there.
Let's throw you on the spot.